So today we're going to start putting in fence braces for this front 12-acre field that we're going to turn into pasture. And I think there's 4 steps to make that happen. So the first one is we need to go around and we need to mark out where all of our fencing is going to go. And then we need to call 811 or Julie so they can come and mark the utilities that go across the front of the property. And then we need to build fence braces. We're going to weld those together out of old oil-filled pipe, and then we can go out there and we can drill our holes and we can set those braces in concrete. And I think this is probably going to take several days to get done. I don't think we're going to get all the braces in, but I think we're going to get a pretty good start. So to mark the location of our fence, I ended up buying a package, I think, of 50 white flags, and they're on little metal stakes. And we're going to put these in the ground every so many feet. And then I also bought, I think I got 3 cans of white marking tape, and we're going to spray the ground and mark the ground as well. And then I also got some of these temporary fence posts. Now this is just for me. This run right here I think is at least 1,200 feet long. So I'm going to use this so that I can see where the fence goes from far away. I'm going to use this to basically mark like the corners and a rough outline of where the fence is going to go, and then I'm going to use that as a guide to go through and put in the flags and the white paint, and then I'm going to pull these out afterwards. So along the front of the property here, I know that there is an old telephone line that goes through here, and then there's also a water line. The rural water line goes through here on this side. I think it may go on that side. So we're going to probably put our fence about 7 feet off of these poles. The old fence was right against the telephone poles. I'm going to leave room for a mower to fit through here. And this is where we're going to mark it. It may change depending on where that water line ends up being. 7 feet right there. Should be able to fit even the small tractor through there. On this side of the pole, it's a drop off down in the ditch. So, I mean, there'd be no way to mow it if I put the fence up right against it. So those white temporary posts are actually very hard to see. I'm having to use my phone. Zoomed into 30 times, and now I know that they're perfectly straight with each other. So I know that my other post is going to end up being right where I'm standing. I mean, I know I got a perfect straight line here. All right, I got my temporary posts in. This one is perfectly straight in line with the posts going in that direction. And then in the other direction, I've got it lined up with the pasture fence down there. So now I can go ahead and start marking the ground and putting in flags. All right, just finished up. I don't know if you can tell, but we've got white flags going all the way down. So back here next to our house, we've got this old fence line that we just cleared out next to the driveway. Our new fence is about 15 feet off of that old fence, and it goes straight down that way. And it is 7 foot off of this tree, so we can fit a lawnmower through. And then there's another tree way down there. It's 7 feet off of that one. So we do have plenty of room to be able to get lawnmower in between the fence and these trees and keep everything mowed up. So now that I've got everything marked out, I'm gonna go ahead and call 811. In the state of Illinois, we call it a Julie, like a Julie dig. And I'm not sure if they say that in other states or not, but I'm gonna go ahead and get that call in. And I think it takes 48 hours for them to come and mark all the utilities. So today we're going to be building fence braces out of old oil-filled pipe. I had started to make this one in a previous video where I was basically just learning. I've never done this before, so I was trying to learn how to notch the pipe properly so that they fit together, and then learning how to stick weld it together as well. And I'm not very experienced stick welding, so I made a lot of mistakes. And I learned a lot too, so I'm hoping to improve quite a bit. So the first thing I need to do is I need to fix the notch on this end of the pipe. I had cut this out in a previous video, and I had used a piece of angle iron that was just laying on top of the pipe, and I used it to mark a straight line, and I thought that would give me a perfectly parallel notch with the other side. It ain't even close. So I've got a little test piece here with the level on it, and I get that to fit up in that notch. And I am 8 degrees off. So this post would have been kind of pointing up like this. I mean, it's not even close. And so what I got to do is I've got to grind this notch out and get it to where it's actually level. And then I need to grind it and get it to where it actually mates up to this test piece and fits in there perfectly without hardly any gaps. And then we can go ahead, we can lay the post in here and we can get it all welded up. But I think what I learned in the last video is that I need to spend a lot more time on the notch and making sure that everything fits perfectly, and it's going to save me a lot of time and a lot of headache when it comes to stick welding it. Look at that fit up, that looks good. Within a 1/2 degree, that's a lot better. I think we'll use this as our post. All right, I've got the post the right length. I've got the rust cleaned off. It's ready to weld. We're square and we're level. So this second brace, instead of being horizontal, it's actually going to angle down toward the ground. And this is going to be a shorter post. And the trick is going to be cutting the right angle and notching it at an angle. So this is definitely going to be the most challenging. So what I've decided to do is cut a 22.5 degree angle off on each end. That'll give me a starting point, and then I can manually grind it and create a notch to fit up to the post on each side. Oh, man, this is like a two-man lift right here. I'm not sure what you can see. Hopefully you can kind of get the idea what this is supposed to look like. It'll be in the ground about to here, and the upper part will be what you end up seeing. But I still got to weld the backside. So I'm going to estimate a total of 12 hours to weld together this first brace. And that's because it was all a learning experience. I was learning how to weld, learning how to cut the pipe, notch the pipe, fit it up properly, work through all my mistakes, a lot of trial and error. So it was just a whole learning process. So I think this definitely probably took maybe 3 times longer than it should have, just because I'm trying to figure this all out. So now that we got our first brace built, I think we'll go ahead and set this in place. We'll go get concrete, and then we'll drill some holes and get it set where it's supposed to go. And then I think we'll go ahead and we'll set a bunch of the other posts in the ground also. And we'll try to weld the next one in place in the field, because I think that's going to end up being the quicker way to do it. So we're back up here at the front of the property. The utilities have been marked. So our water line's actually running like right here. And then the telephone line is running over here along the road in the ditch. And you can see where our original fence line was marked. I thought we were moving away from the water line, but apparently we were moving closer to the water line. So we're moving the fence just a little bit to the north. We've got our first 2 holes drilled. We got the one for this post in this corner, and we got the one all the way down there for the other corner post drilled. And we'll go ahead and we'll get this one set first. So I brought the sprayer to be my water tank so I can add water to the hole and put in the concrete. I'm just going to mix it in the hole, I guess. All right, we're on the far side of the field, and you can see the water line right here ended up being within like a foot of where we marked our fence. So we were too close to the water line. But on the other hand, the telephone wire comes down the ditch and comes up to a telephone box right here, and then it angled this way. So we tried to split the difference, tried to go about halfway in between the water line and the telephone line. So this is the real reason why we ended up moving to the north, was right here. Level, it's looking good. So now that we got both of our corner posts set in place, we can see exactly where the fence is actually going to go. So we can go ahead and drill out for the rest of our fence posts for each brace. And then in the middle of the field, there's a midpoint brace we need to drill posts for as well. I've got to support that with a couple more pipe stands. Should have saw that one coming. All right, I just finished up. We've got our brace posts all set for the north side of our pasture here. And you can see we've got 2 tall ones. Hopefully you can see that. We've got 2 tall posts, and we're going to weld in a horizontal. And then we've got a short post here at the end, and this is where we're going to angle our angled brace down. I'm not sure, there's probably a name for it. I'm going to call it a kicker, where we're going to weld that kicker down toward the ground. And we're going to do that, you know, on both sides. We're going to do that here, the same here, horizontal, angle down, kicker to the ground right there. And that's going to make a nice strong brace for us to stretch our fence off of. And halfway between both corners, we've got 3 posts set, and this should be right in the middle of them. This is going to be a midline brace. We're going to build another brace here. This total length across the part of this field is 1,200 feet. So we're taking this long run, we're breaking it into 2 fence poles. If this was like high tensile, like a 5-strand fence, we could have pulled the whole thing just fine. But since we're doing a fixed knot field fence, it's going to be a very heavy fence. So 600 feet is probably more appropriate for the weight of the fence we're actually going to have hanging on it. So that's why we ended up putting this midline brace in here. We still have to weld this all together just like the rest of the braces. And we've got the same layout over here on the northwest corner. We've got the 5 posts with the short one on the end for the kicker. So today I was going to set this pre-made brace, and it was going to be up here next to the road. It was going to shoot down to the corral fence that we were building, right in line with it. And as I've got it set in here, trying to figure out where to drill our holes, this post right here is right next to the water line. And you can see we're probably 4 inches from where they marked it. So this brace is not going to work here. So what I need to do is when we build this brace, we'll probably build it, because this is about an 8-foot horizontal brace in here, we'll probably build it with a 10-foot brace. That way the post is over here and away from the water line. So this isn't going to work in this spot. We're going to have to go find a different spot to put this one in. It's close. Trying to eyeball this. So we decided to put this brace on the opposite end of where we just had it. Down here next to our corral fence, there's going to be a 14-foot gate right in this section. We've tried to measure everything out as best we can. We think it's straight as and exactly where it's supposed to go. So we marked out our holes. We're going to go ahead and start drilling them, and then hopefully we can get this set in the ground of concrete. Go ahead, come up. Well, we got into the old telephone cable. See if I can get it off of here. There it is. That's abandoned cable. Hopefully you can see it. You see it sticking out of the hole right there? That's the old telephone line. That's no longer in use. It used to run down here and then go back to the really old house that we had torn down after we bought the property. So it doesn't matter that we got into this telephone line. In fact, we have cut this telephone line probably 2 or 3 times doing work around here. So, no big deal. At least this one's not in service, and will never be in service. We're not going to plan on having a landline anytime in our lifetime. We got all 3 holes drilled. Hopefully they're spaced correctly. Rebecca did all of the drilling. She drove the tractor today. Did a good job. Now we'll see if we can get this fence brace in the hole. So I've been trying to save the dirt from most of these holes. Well, one, I don't want it there while I do the concrete, but I have several holes to fill in from where we pulled out trees and bushes and different things. So we're putting it to good use. Probably should have marked these before I put them in the ground, but I'm shooting for 5 feet out of the ground. Oh, I'm close on this one. Probably just like an inch too deep. It's very close. So our holes were a little bit deep. We threw some gravel in the bottom that has raised them up. They're probably 4 inches high. We're gonna go ahead and push down on these posts and somewhat push them into the ground now until we get level on that horizontal right there. All right, the horizontal is perfectly level. And as we look at the vertical here, it's level as well. So this is all welded together already, so I'm really just worried about this post and the horizontal. The rest of it, I'm fine where it sits out. It should be fairly close. We got the right height, so we're gonna go ahead and set it in concrete. Uh-oh, hey, that would be a great B-roll shot. This bag just starts to disintegrate. Get piled up there. So we just finished up getting our pre-made fence brace set in the ground in concrete. Everything is level and plumb, and I think it's looking pretty good. It's supposed to line up perfectly with the corral fence down there, and I think that looks fairly straight. So setting this pre-made fence brace in place here had its own set of challenges, mostly because of how large and bulky and heavy it was. It just couldn't really lift it up and like move it around real easily. And just trying to get it, you know, straight with the fence and get it centered in the holes. And a lot of times it didn't want to be centered in your holes because your holes weren't perfectly drilled. So then you're a little close to one side. So then it ends up, I mean, it just has its own little set of challenges. There's a lot of room for error trying to get this in the ground and try to get it perfect. But it's done, it's in the ground, and I don't plan on it coming out in my lifetime. So I think we've worked at least 6 days in everything that you've seen in this video, trying to lay out the fence, finish the fence brace here, get all the posts in, and at least 6 days to make this video so far. And I ended up buying concrete twice, total of 4,000 pounds. So far I've used, I think, over 3,300 pounds of concrete setting in these posts. So that's quite a bit of concrete. And we still have quite a few more posts to go. We're probably only about halfway through setting posts. But overall, everything went really well. I just want to say that. Out here, all the posts drilled great. The clay soil is the perfect condition where it's not hard as a rock, but yet it's not necessarily mud. There's a perfect space for drilling clay, and we hit it. And everything drilled good. We didn't hit any utilities except for this abandoned phone line today, so that's not a big deal. And this water sprayer, I think I'm on the second fill up. I've probably gone about 60 gallons of water so far in the water tank that I've used mixing up concrete. So this water tank worked out really well as a portable source to be able to mix up concrete and stuff with. So I think that worked out well. Overall, everything, I probably couldn't ask for it to go much better than what it did. So it's been a long 6 days, but at least everything went smoothly. As smooth as I could have probably asked for it to be. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for this video. We'll come back in another video and we will start welding our fence braces together, right? We're going to try to weld something that looks like this pre-made one. We're going to try to kind of mimic this exact same thing in the field, and we will get it where we're cutting, grinding, welding the pipe in the field and hopefully it all works out. But it'll have its own set of challenges for sure, and it'll be a big learning curve. But I think that's it for this video, guys. It is actually starting, it's raining. I don't know if you can see it on the video. It's just starting to pick up. So I think that's it. I'm gonna get this concrete, I need to get it picked up and in the barn so that it doesn't set in the bags. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Well, at least it didn't poke a hole in the bag. That's good.